every player in that space to exercise its strategic agility and maneuverability for effective positioning in that marketplace to attain both comparative advantage and competitiveness. So I would really not want to go or buy the argument that monopolies will lead to market efficiencies, and therefore we need to go a step further and curtail strongly performing organizations so that they come to the same level with organizations which are inefficient. Organizations have to be creative, innovative to survive. And in that operational environment, Mr. Chairman, it is cutthroat competition, and it is incumbent upon you as a player to cut your own niche in that operational environment. Ours is to provide an enabling legal, regulatory, and policy environment as government. The issue of semi-autonomous areas, yes, as to whether or not we will extend the ICT infrastructure into those places, yes, and we will actually leverage on the Universal Service Fund, yeah, so that we utilize the resources available within that basket to extend the ICT infrastructure to those places so that we have got some equity and equitability in the provision of ICT infrastructure, Mr. Chairman. The issue of constructing ICT hubs or centers, this will be cascaded down to the lowest levels, Mr. Chairman. We will continue with this. It is already work in progress, and we will continue with this to the lowest levels of our operations, of the bottom of the pyramid, so that as we extend this, it is also in tandem with our bottom-up economic proposition. The issue of realignment of government functions with the mandates, functional mandates of the ministries. Executive orders, Mr. Chairman, are not cast on stone. They are developed by human beings. As and when there is an anomaly detected, yeah, within what the functional mandates of various ministries espouses and where the implementing agencies are domiciled, this can always be relooked at. In fact, as I speak, ourselves as cabinet nominees, we have been asked already just to look at the executive order and propose any value proposition based on these functional mandates to facilitate effective alignment. So this can be done, it will be done, and it has always been done, Mr. Chairman. The issue of telecom as to whether we are reverting to state ownership, I'm a strong believer that the work of government is to provide an enabling legal and regulatory framework as opposed to competing with the private sector in business, Mr. Chairman. But for strategic reasons, which I had mentioned earlier, we also need to recognize that Telecom Kenya has at its disposal or within its jurisdiction a critical mass of strategic infrastructure. That space has to be looked at from various facets of government, not just the ICT ministry itself. It has got to be looked at from the National Treasury, from the Ministry of Interior, and again, based on the principle of collective responsibility within government, I promise that if I assume office, I will discuss and get to a level playing ground or develop a common denominator with my counterparts, and we will come up with a feasible way forward as far as telecom is concerned within the short run. The issue of safeguarding talent and intellectual property, I believe that answered that again. We need to strengthen the legal and regulatory framework. I've talked about the enforcement of the copyright law. I've also talked about the issue of just ensuring that we eliminate duplicity of effort between the Kenya Film Corporation and the Kenya Film Classification Board. Through a relevant bill taken to Parliament, Mr. Chairman, we can actually, in my view, end up with one entity that can take care of the whole of that space while charged with the mandate of ensuring optimal exploitation of the talent that we have amongst our youth on one hand, and also through the establishment and operationalization of a Kenya Film Fund, ensuring that we have got adequate provision of finances to these young people on the other, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, spirit of Safaricom.